How's it going, everybody? Got a special video for you today. And if you saw the title, you'd probably know it might be a little bit of a sad video, it might be a surprising video. You might say, wow, I know that guy. He always buys and sells cars, so I'm not that surprised. But if you couldn't tell, I'm going to be getting a new vehicle today, most likely. I mean, if you guys see this video, then I got a new vehicle. If you don't, then you'll know. So I guess this is really the final Jeep review then. I have roughly 7,500 miles on it. In that time, I've owned it for a little bit less than a year. Like I said, put 7,500 miles on it. It's cost me just a hair over $5,000 to own it for that time. And I've done everything that I've wanted to do with it, with the exception of one thing. The only thing that I always wanted to do was one of those like cross-state overlanding trips. And honestly, I don't know anybody that would be willing to do it with me. So that is the only thing that I wish I could have done in my Jeep and that I never had the chance to. I've gone rock crawling, I've gone mud bogging, I've driven through snow, I've driven through a flash flood, I've driven through no doors. So I've done everything that a Jeep is supposed to do, and I've gotten to experience what it's like having a 4x4. Before we go into the reasons why I really like the Jeep, I mean, I'm not going to go super crazy into it because you guys saw the other review videos that I have. I am going to talk about what I don't like about it, and it's actually not the breakdown issues that I had. It is actually that the steering does not feel as tight as it did when I first bought it. When I first bought it, this thing was shocking, actually. It was way better than all the Jeeps I have ever driven before.
You don't really get blown around by the wind too much. You think with a tall, boxy vehicle, you'd be blown all over the place. In my experience so far, it's really not a problem.
Jeeps just give you a sense of freedom. You don't really have to worry about that stuff. I don't know if it was something that happened when I was off-roading on it. Like I said, I really only have gone on green trails. You know, I have done some rock crawling. But I've noticed the steering getting sloppier and sloppier on the highway. The wind blows this thing all over the road now, not like it used to do. I feel like when I first bought it, I was just really happy with that. I mean, and that was the perspective coming from owning a sports car before this. And I was pretty surprised at how tight it felt. You know, and I know some people in their Jeeps, they experience stuff like death wobble as soon as 10,000 miles. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe something is wearing on the steering or maybe something defective, whatever it is. That's really not the main reason why I'm selling it, though. I just want to be transparent. That's actually the only complaint that I really have about the Jeep, is that I feel like the steering is already showing signs of slop. And it's just kind of disappointing, but like I said, not the reason why I'm selling it. And also, would I say it discourages somebody from buying it? No, but I would say it probably makes more sense, at least for me, to have bought a Bronco to get the 4x4 experience. I think it would have made more sense for me in hindsight. However, was it worth the money? Probably not. So I guess ultimately, that's my summary of my complaints with it. Obviously, it did have the issue with warning lights and stuff, and both batteries going bad, and the sensor being loose, but I'm not going to knock it too much. So now to the reason why I'm selling it. You know, the reality is, I always buy and sell cars, so the longest vehicle I've ever owned was my Dodge van, and that's because it was my project car. I usually don't have stuff for very long, and in my experience, it only costs slightly more to just buy and sell stuff. You get tax advantages and everything. Like I said, it ended up costing me just over $5,000 to own it for a year. That's not too far off of lease pricing, and you have the flexibility to do as you please. Obviously, if you own it long term, it'll end up being way less. But for me, just having the flexibility to buy whatever I want, within reason, obviously, has always taken precedence. So I've gotten to own almost every type of vehicle that I've wanted to have, and I was actually planning on owning this through the winter. However, I got a pretty good deal on something that made me jump on it, so I'm not going to dive into too far what it is, but it'll be more in line with Mrs. POV's and I family goals over the next place where I would say you should not buy a Jeep, in my opinion, is if you have a long highway commute. I commute only a couple miles to work each day, and they're all back roads. If you were doing a 100-mile round trip a day commute, I would not recommend a Jeep at all. For a bunch of reasons, but I don't think that you would. I don't think that's the right vehicle for that use case. I think if you're willing to take the roof off, the doors off, you want to go off-roading, you just like the way they look, for whatever, any of those reasons, I think it's worth it. And I guess that's really also for anything in this class. You know, you want a 2-door, 4-door Jeep, Bronco, anything like that. I think if it's worth it to you for those things, then go for it. Well, everybody, that pretty much wraps up my final Jeep review. I hope this was helpful to you. If not, I hope the 5,000-mile review was helpful for you, because personally, I was pretty proud of how that video came out, and I think that might be one of the most helpful Jeep reviews on the internet, at least for the last couple of years. Not to toot my own horn, but I do think it's very helpful in almost everything that you do with the Jeep. So anyway, if you're here for Jeep content, I'm sorry to be disappointing you, and if you're just here to see different types of cars and stuff, well, I hope you stay around on the channel, because Mr. POV is not done. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Till the next time.